Allow me to begin by introducing our speakers tonight. Professor Goh Say Song is the Dean of Admissions at the National University of Singapore. A mathematician by training, he received his Bachelor of Honours degree from the University of Oxford in 1988 and his Master's and PhD degrees from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor in 1990 and 1992 respectively. He joined NUS Department of Mathematics in 1994, and he is highly passionate about education and has received numerous teaching awards, including the University Outstanding Educator Award in 2009. His research interests are on the theory and applications of wavelets, approximation theory, and harmonic analysis, and he also participates in interdisciplinary research involving the practical use of mathematics. Associate Professor Wong Mun Loke is the Associate Provost of Integrated Education at NUS, and Vice Dean of Education at the Faculty of Dentistry. After graduating with his Bachelor of Dental Surgery degree from NUS, Prof. Wong worked in the Health Promotion Board for over 10 years, where he was engaged in clinical dental services for the school-going population and health promotion efforts across the lifespan. Following his postgraduate training in dental public health, Prof. Wong returned to teach part-time in his alma mater in 2003. A decade later, he joined the university full-time, where he is actively engaged in the delivery of Bachelor of Dental Surgery program. In the Faculty of Dentistry, Prof. Wong anchors the teaching in dental public health and behavioral science, as well as contributes to research in various areas, including oral health and educational pedagogy. Most recently, Prof. Wong, in his role as Associate Provost, is looking into how academic programs and informal out-of-classroom curricula can complement one another to offer students an enhanced holistic educational experience in higher education. Associate Professor Ho Han Kiat is the Dean of Students at the National University of Singapore and an academic staff at the Department of Pharmacy. He received his Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy with first-class honors, along with the Lee Kuan Yew Gold Award and Chalmers Medal as a top graduate. Prof. Ho became one of the pioneer recipients of the A-Star Overseas Graduate Scholarship and obtained his PhD in medicinal chemistry from the University of Washington. Over the years, as a faculty member, he has published more than 90 papers in internationally recognized journals and won multiple university-level teaching excellence awards, including the Outstanding Educator Award in 2020. He was also recently recognized for his research by winning the 2020 Distinguished Alumni Award for Excellence in Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, conferred by the University of Washington School of Pharmacy. Without further ado, let us begin the session. May I now invite Prof. Goh to begin the session, please.
Thank you, Eunice, and a very warm evening to all of you. Now, I'm very excited to speak to all of you today. I noticed that many of you have signed up for this webinar, and we have received many questions that you have posted, many questions about the topics that you're interested in. So let me get my slides out first, and we hope to address all your questions by the end of today's webinar. So, and I've seen your enthusiastic response in terms of sharing your reactions. That is very good. Keep it up. And my colleagues and I will be greatly excited to answer your question. Oh, thank you for the overwhelming reaction. Okay, you are now at a very important juncture here. Now, all of you actually has received an admission offer, and some of you are returning NS men that is going to come into NUS in August 2025. So all of you now actually have a bachelor's degree, one of our 60 bachelor's degree that we have offered you. Some of you could even be in a double degree or double major or major minor combination. Now, we all know that the academics is one aspect of the NUS experience, but the NUS experience is much more than the academics. We want to develop you holistically. And how are we going to do that? And this is where the other 4 pillars that we are going to mention to you. Now, one of the pillars is about student life. Student life is something that there's a lot of development opportunities, a lot of learning opportunities. And there are more than 200 clubs and societies and interest groups. And many of you actually come for today's webinar because you are interested about on-campus stay. On-campus stay, we have 4 different types of on-campus accommodations, and you'll be spot for choices. Which is the type that is suitable for you? which is the type that you want to actually embark on, that is actually up to you, and we will provide you with the necessary information. And among these 4 types of on-campus accommodations, there are actually 18 different sites that you can stay on campus. Another aspect about your development is that we want our students to have global exposure. So we have more than 300 partner universities spanning over 40 countries, and we have also more than 25 locations of NUS overseas colleges to give you that global perspective that you are aiming for. At the end of the day, after your studies, now we want to make sure that you have a fruitful career ahead. We want to prepare you well for your future career, and this is where internship and career preparation comes in. And of course, from the title of today's webinar, we'll focus on student and residential life. But nevertheless, I hear you. I saw some of the questions that you have actually asked about the other 2 pillars about global exposure and career preparation. So I'll spend a few minutes just to talk about them to actually complete the picture. And then after that, we'll focus on student life and on-campus stay. Now, why do I want to bring in those 4 different topics that I mentioned? Because these are complement to your academic study. And that is what we call NUS 1. We want to leverage out of classroom experience. There are 2 types of curriculum you'll get on in NUS. The academic curriculum, which I think your home faculties are actively engaging you and also telling you more about that. And then there is the non-academic curriculum. Non-academic curriculum is something that you can learn out of the classroom. It could be student and residential life. It could be experiential learning through internship. It could be global opportunities. And my colleague, Prof. Wong, will tell you more about how you can leverage out of classroom experience afterwards. And like I said, some of you wanted to find out more about study abroad programs. Now, whether does every NUS student has an opportunity to go for a study abroad programs? And the answer is yes. Our dream here is to make sure that every student has at least one chance of going for a study abroad program. It could be our flagship student exchange program that you spend up to 1 semester or even 1 year in one of our 300 partner universities. And when you are under student exchange program, the tuition fees that you'll be paying will still be NUS tuition fees, which is heavily subsidized by the government, and that makes the student exchange program affordable. Some students prefer not to go for 1 semester, but instead they still want to have a taste of studying in an overseas country. You can take part in the summer and winter program, 4 to 6 weeks, take 1 course there, and then have a sense about how is it like to study. You can actually embark on and from that point of view, and you can actually work in one of the renowned research labs as well. And another aspect, which is really a uniquely NUS thing, that is NUS overseas colleges. This is something that for those of you who want to be an entrepreneur, this is something that you should really look at. And what you do here is that you can actually spend 1 semester in one of our more than 25 locations of NUS overseas colleges, spanning from North America, Europe, Southeast Asia, and other parts of Asia as well. And you actually work in a startup to get a first-hand experience. At the same time, you take some classes about entrepreneurship in our partner university. And this program has been around for more than 20 years, and many of our students who have gone through this have actually founded their own companies as well. Another aspect about internship. Now, we take career preparation very seriously. We have a Center for Future Ready Graduates that organizes programs, workshops, fairs, and events to prepare you for employment. Some of you may say, I have not even entered NUS yet. Why should I care about career preparation? Career preparation actually comes early in your study. As early as your year 1, our Center for Future Ready Graduate will engage you because you need to plan what you want to do in the long run. what you're going to do in year 2, year 3, or year 4, and in terms of career preparation. And we have career advisors within each of our faculties to help to support your career goals. And most of our programs has internship. It could be compulsory, it could be optional, but this is an opportunity for you to apply the knowledge that you have gained to real world situation. Now, these aspects, your home faculties will tell you more about study about programs, about career preparation, about internship, and we'll focus on today's webinar on student life and residential life. Now, you're thinking that coming to university, what kind of student life? Now, be assured that we are a large university. We take in more than 7,000 students. You are definitely going to find like-minded peers who will challenge you, cheer you on, and make your student life unforgettable. And the students you're going to meet are not just students only in the same program, degree program as you. You can meet programs from students from different parts of the university. You know, it could be through a music, arts, and culture group. It could be community service. It could be a common interest about sports, or you can even found your own special interest group. And how about on-campus accommodations? Now, like I said, we have 4 different types. One type is the halls of residence. The other type, second type, is residential college. Now, residential college actually has something more than halls of residence. You actually take some courses that can be counted towards your home faculty requirements or the general education requirements. Then some of you has already gotten an offer with NUS College. Now, NUS College, the residential part is actually taken care of by NUS College because you need to be admitted to NUS College to take part in the residential portion and their interdisciplinary curriculum. So at NUS College, we will not talk about it here. And then for students in your second year and above, you will be actually, you can also consider staying in the student residences. And finally, there's another option that is houses. So these are actually various places that you can stay on campus. And today's webinar will focus on halls of residence, residential colleges, and houses, because student residences are for students in the second year and above, not for the first year. First year is halls of residence, residential colleges, and houses. NUS College is a separate admission, is a part of the admission process, so we will not discuss here. And you'll notice that I highlighted one new residential college in AY 2025, which is this year, and one new house in AY 2025 as well. I'll leave my colleague, Prof. Ho, to tell you more about this. And for those of you who are very interested to take a look at the campus and also to have a sense about where are all these on-campus accommodations, go to our 360 degrees virtual tour. You have a sense about where are all these on-campus accommodations located, and you can even go inside the on-campus accommodation to have a sense about how they look like, and you can make a decision about where you would like to apply to. And how about, do we have any support for undergraduate students who actually have financial need and wanted to stay on campus? Now, our dream here is that we hope that every student, regardless of the financial situation, will get to stay on campus for at least 1 year, so that everybody get to experience the opportunity, the learning opportunities, the development opportunities for on-campus stay. And to this end, we actually have several kinds of support. One is the residential program bursary, and this is for Singapore citizens, and the amount could be from $500 to $4,250, depending for the assessed financial need of the applicant. Then for those who are staying in the residential college, we have the residential college bursary. The quantum is up to $5,000, again, depending on assessed financial need and nationality. Now, if you look at what we have offered in terms of the residential program bursary, residential college bursary, it covers a substantial portion of the cost of staying in the halls, the houses, or the residential college. But it may not cover everything. We do not want students to feel denied that of staying in this halls or houses or residential college. For needy students, now when you apply for your financial aid, and if your PCI is not more than $750, apart from the residential program bursary and residential college bursary, you will also you receive a $10,000 of opportunity enhancement grant. This $10,000 opportunity enhancement grant is good for 4 years for Singapore citizens with per capita income up to $750. So what happens here is that, let's say you stay on campus and the cost is, let's say, $5,500. So the residential program bursary or residential college bursary is not enough to cover everything. There is a shortfall. So what you can do is that you can actually use the opportunity enhancement grant that you have to offset the shortfall so that your expenses of staying on campus will be covered fully. And this is something that we want to do for our needy students so that we make sure that every student will have such an opportunity. And then for the respective halls, residential college, they have, some of them has their own bursaries and grants through generous donations by the donors or former residents, and that you can apply directly. So this gives you a rough sense about the bursaries and grants that's available for undergraduate on-campus stays. And if you need more information, do visit our website, nus.edu/admissions. You can find the information about, financial support, financial aid is all there. And if you have questions, you can always write in to nus.edu/ask-admissions. Our colleagues there will be able to answer your questions about financial support for on-campus stay or any other questions that related to admissions. And if you want to hear about experiences of current students in NUS, go to our nus.edu/live chat, and Monday to Friday during office hours, we will have one of our student ambassadors there to answer your question. So I will stop share here, and then I'll pass the time over to Prof. Wong, will tell you about how you can actually have a holistic NUS education through the learning opportunities provided under NUS 1 to complement what you're going to have for your academic studies. Over to you, Prof. Wong.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Goh, and a very good evening to all our participants of this evening's webinar. First of all, I would like to extend my heartiest congratulations to all of you for reaching a very significant milestone in your educational journey. And we certainly look forward to welcoming you to NUS in the not too distant future. So allow me to share with you a little bit about the university's philosophy with regard to holistic education. So earlier on, you would have heard that Prof. Goh mentioned about this initiative known as NUS 1. NUS 1 essentially is an educational philosophy which demonstrates and represents the university's commitment, NUS's commitment to ensuring that all our undergraduates receive a holistic education during the time that they spend with us on the Cambridge campus, as well as the Bukit Timah campus. So during the undergraduate candidature, the participation and the enrollment in the academic program for which you have applied to is important. That will allow you to deepen your knowledge as well as your expertise in the chosen area of study that you have been enrolled in within NUS. While that is important, we also do recognize that life skills are equally important. So these life skills would include things such as the ability to communicate confidently with one another, the ability to work collaboratively with one another, the ability to develop and foster effective interpersonal skills, teamwork. These are very important skill sets, which will go a long way later on, even after graduation. And we all know that the environment in which we are operating in is an increasingly complex one, where there will be new challenges that face us and things are evolving at a very rapid rate. So therefore, armed with an academic degree is important, and that together with a good complement of different life skills will put us in good stead to be able to flourish and to succeed in the careers that we have chosen to embark on. And so towards the end, NUS 1 believes that beyond the classroom, there are many, many other opportunities to hone these life skills that I have spoken about. So these out-of-classroom experiences will take place outside of the academic arena. So these can come by way of interest groups, student organizations, even later on, as Prof. Ho will share with you, within the residential setting, there will be opportunities to learn new things in an out-of-classroom sort of environment. And so towards the end, what NUS1 has done is has introduced new activities, new sort of events, both on the sporting front as well as the arts and cultural front, to expose students to a wider repertoire of different experiences that they can engage in. So it could be a sport that students may not have the opportunity to engage in their past. There will be opportunities for them to give it a try. And once they give it a try and they find that they're interested in it, they can then further develop their interests in these areas. Beyond the sports, there'll be opportunities in performing arts as well. And these are all essentially experiences and opportunities which we would like to present to our students so that they can have the opportunity to try these different things and find an area of interest that they can further themselves in. Apart from this, we also believe that the out-of-classroom experiences will also help to foster networking opportunities, to build friendships beyond the academic programs. And this is an important aspect of university education because the networks that we build while on campus during our undergraduate days will definitely go a very long way towards building these networks further even after we graduate. So therefore, the holistic educational experience is something which NUS focuses significantly on. It allows students to interact within the classroom with their classmates of the same academic program, but at the same time, it will also present chances as well as experiences, as well as activities that will foster a wider interaction across the university. So through these out-of-classroom experiences, students will be able to mingle and mix and interact with friends, peers, as well as other university mates beyond their chosen academic program. And this will foster very close sort of interdisciplinary sort of interactions with one another, which will certainly go a very long way beyond the undergraduate days. So later on during the interactive Q&A session, we can delve a little bit deeper into some of these experiences, which will contribute towards that holistic experience. But for now, I'd like to hand over the time to Professor Ho Han Kiat, who will give you further sort of insights and details about the student life experiences on campus. So over to you, Professor Ho.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly and can also see my slides. Okay. Well, first of all, it's my delight to join my colleagues to meet you here at this webinar to tell you a little bit more about NUS, in particular, what you can expect in student life and residential life. And I hope that from this sharing, it will help to tip you over to make that decision to call NUS your home for your higher education. Now, first of all, something about myself. My primary department is at the Department of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science, where I, as a trained toxicologist, provide education and training for pharmacists as well as pharmaceutical scientists to be. But at the same time, I'm also holding on to the role as a Dean of Students. Now, some of you may wonder, what exactly is a Dean of Students? Is it the Dean of all deans since there are students in every single faculty? Well, actually, that is not true. A very simple way to describe my role is that the Dean of Students take care of students beyond the classroom. And this is where we believe that things that takes place outside of the classroom are not just good to have, but are also an integral part of your higher education, especially one in NUS. So the picture that you see on this slide was some of the engagement that I had with students over the years. Firstly, in the capacity as a resident fellow, staying at one of the halls of residence, Raffles Hall, where I was there for 7 years. And during my stay there, I mentored and coached many different student groups, and in particular, bringing out the vibrancy of students through musical production. And the pictures on the top left and bottom left are both an indication of that. And the pictures on the right are the engagement that I have with the student union in more recent years in my role as a Dean of Students. And every year we will have a senior management dialogue with students, where student leaders will get to meet with the senior management of the university and to be able to exchange ideas so that students are not just a recipient of the education in the university, but they also partake in shaping of some of their educational journey. Now, the focus for my sharing is really about student life. Now, where does this fit in within higher education? I like to call student life really as the soul of the university. And in fact, I call it the indomitable soul of the university because this is really something indispensable. I come to realize this from the pandemic season, where we realize that actually there are many aspects of learning that can already be turned into an online experience. Therefore, it begs the question, today, in this age and time, is there really a need for a physical university? And as I probe this question further, I realized that, well, the answer is a definite yes. We still need a physical university because some aspects of the university experience has got to be physical. And student life constitute one of that important component. And to us, student life in NUS is part of education. It is an extended platform for learning because through student life activities, this is where you will pick up important life skills that will complement a good education that you can receive from your primary and secondary major. It is also through student life that you gain better social connectivity, which is a crucible for maintaining and promoting mental well-being. And when you're plugged into a community, you can relate to one another, you can share your joy, and at the same time, you find that any challenges you have will be divided because each of you, when sharing with one another, will also share a bit of that same load. And finally, student life forms a large part of the identity of an NUS student and eventually a graduate to be. And that is why this I consider as a soul of the university, a place, a platform where you gain that sense of belonging, that sense of identity, and also a sense of purpose beyond yourself. Now, that's the philosophy behind student life, but what exactly do we have in place to offer to you as prospective students? If you click on the QR code, you will be able to access the whole range of student life programs that we have on campus. And very broadly speaking, this includes more than 200 CCA groups, more than 60 different sports groups, as well as more than 30 arts and cultural groups. In addition, we also advocate community engagement, where we create different programs where students can partake in volunteer programs and to be part of the wider community and to have, develop that sense of identity and belonging to the wider society of Singapore. We also have funding and resources to support much of these activities, including ground-out initiatives that students can come up with, such as different community engagement funds or youth expedition project, and many others. At the same time, we know that our students come from near and far. And for students who come from overseas, coming to the university is more than just a new place where you learn something for your higher education. In fact, you are starting life all over again because you have to re-establish a new environment to settle in quickly before you can even embark on your learning journey. So we also support students through student life by having an international students coordinating office that look into an effective transition for these students so that by the time the semester begins, you will find yourself being comfortable to be at the same starting point for your education together with the rest of the local students. And for the wider community, we focus also on student well-being. We promote student wellness through advocating our pit stop principle. You will get to hear more about it. Essentially, is to help you find ways where you can achieve self-care and better stress management. We also advocate having students to support one another by training a group of students to become peer student supporter. And when they lift other people up, they also lift themselves up. And these student wellness initiatives are not simply through programs that we run, but we also create physical place, for example, pit stops that are located at different parts of the campus, so that there is a physical place where you can unwind, relax as you run between different classes and other academic activities. Now, the pinnacle of student life will culminate into what we call a student life fair. And what you see here was a student life fair that took place in 2023. And in fact, this will be taking place every year at the end of the first week of the semester. And this will be the perfect opportunity where all the different student group will get to showcase what they can offer. And by going through the student life fair, you get a sense of how vibrant the community is, and hopefully everyone will be able to find something that they can connect with and to count that as your very personalized form of student life. Now, one of the important aspects of student life, which is what I'm going to spend the rest of the time to talk about, is residential life. Now, the way NUS see residential life is more than just to provide a roof over your head. But residential life is a very good opportunity where we can build social capital and life skills, and this being an extension of what holistic learning is all about. Now, just think about it this way. If you spend about 6 to 8 hours of your time every day in class, and if you stay on campus, then the remaining 16 to 18 hours will actually be spent in a hostel. Therefore, this is really an untapped opportunity where you can be part of a wider community to provide that higher level of mutual support. And when you have a diverse community coming together, this becomes a place that you can learn about diversity and inclusiveness, as well as the whole idea of global citizenship. So in fact, it is almost like having a sense of an exchange program without stepping out of the country. And this is how powerful residential life can be. And because we see residential life as important, the way we encourage participation of our students in residential life is to make sure that there are different housing models that will suit individual preferences and lifestyles that you want to be part of. So this QR code will lead you to the 4 different housing models that we have on campus, and you can do so at a convenient time for yourself. But just to walk you through them very quickly, the 4 different housing models that we have include the halls of residence, the residential colleges, houses, as well as student residences. And they each have their own unique selling point, and hopefully there will be at least one that matches your preferred level of engagement and accommodation. So the halls of residence is where you find very vibrant CCA groups where experiential learning take place through the participation in different types of co-curricular activities. And through those activities, you will be part of a very close-knit community built around both not only the activities, but also activities within the residential block that you are part of. In the halls of residence, there is compulsory meal plan. And in fact, meal plan is where students will continue to bond over a good meal almost on a daily basis. On the right-hand side, we have 5 different residential colleges. Residential colleges are different from the halls of residences in a sense that by being in one of these colleges, you will be incorporating an intellectual inquiry component as part of your residential program. And that means by subscribing yourself to this college, you will have to also take additional classes that runs along different themes. And these themes cuts across different disciplines so that students of different background can still thrive in that kind of an environment. For example, the themes that we have in the colleges include sustainability, community engagement, system thinking. And in fact, one of the newest team that will form the newest college that we call Acacia College is a theme on AI. Moving down on the left-hand side, we have 4 houses. Houses is unique in the sense that unlike those that I've described earlier, they do not have compulsory, they do not have a meal plan. The idea is that this create a different option for students who may choose to have more flexibility with where they can dine. And with that flexibility comes with a different type of engagement where the houses environment offer a lot of peer mentorship, proactive pastoral care, and also opportunity for students to come to create ground-up activities in smaller scale. Finally, we have student residences, and these are environments that support independent lifestyle with a lot of breathing space. And this is also the environment that the only hostel type whereby you also have graduate students staying among the undergraduate students. And for this reason, this more diverse environment may be more helpful for students who are slightly more mature and have more experience with tertiary education. And for this reason, we are setting this aside not for freshmen, but for senior students and above. And likewise, just like the houses, the student residences do not come with meal plan. Here summarizes the distinction between the 4 different hostel type. And as I had articulated earlier, the reason for all this diversity is really to ensure that there is at least one housing type that will match your preferred style of living, and that you will find ways to thrive in that environment and gain as much as you can from it. I will also take this opportunity to provide a shout out for the newest kid on the block, and that is with effect from this semester, whereby all of you, our prospective students, may be able to consider Valor House, which is a sports-themed house. Now, this is designed to provide a conducive environment for athletes as well as other sports enthusiasts to pursue their interest in sports, and also at the same time to engage with the community and help to encourage the entire community to be more proactive in keeping physical and healthy lifestyle. And it is hoped that through this, we will have and create an ecosystem where more and more people will be subscribed into participating in different types of physical activities that will uplift and maintain their well-being. So this will be an option that is even open up for freshmen to consider. Now, there will be more details that I can share, but I think at this point, I will just pause right here, and I'm going to hand the time to our 3 students who are joining us at this webinar, and they will be the ideal people to really share with you from first-hand experience how, as residents in different housing concept, has helped them achieve that very vibrant and holistic development as NUS students. So with this, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, professors, for your sharing. We'd now like to introduce the various accommodation options and have especially invited 3 NUS students, Anand, Winnie, and Lucas, to share with us today. Anand is an incoming final year student from the NUS Business School, majoring in real estate. He often gleefully jokes that he is doing a double degree program in college life, having enjoyed the last 3 years as a resident of Cambridge Hall and being an active participant in his faculty and the wider NUS community. Anand's contribution and commitment was prevalent from the moment he set foot in Cambridge Hall. But the passion for student leadership, Anand held multiple concurrent positions throughout his stay, such as heading as the captain for Ultimate Frisbee and Road Relay teams, Vice Chair of Cambridge Hall Sports Management Unit and Logistics Head for the Inter-Hall Games convening in academic year 23-24. Anand was also elected as the 45th JCRC President of Cambridge Hall, and despite his numerous commitments, he makes it a point to have a community beyond residential life. He has represented NUS Business School for various tournaments and races, such as in the Interfaculty Games for NUS Ultimate Frisbee and NUS Aquathlon. Anand maintains a candid and positive attitude towards all that he does at NUS. Winnie is an incoming third-year go-getter from NUS Business School, Business Administration, with an interest to focus on applied business analytics and business economics. With her infectious energy, Winnie leads as president of Residential College 4, transforming student experiences through her passion for community building. As NUS Student Union Director of Policy, she channels her strategic thinking to create meaningful change across campus. Driven by her enthusiasm for connection, Winnie aspires to create more spaces for people to come together. Her entrepreneurial spirit perfectly complements her academic pursuits, giving her real-world experiences in building welcoming spaces. When she's not dedicating time to strategy and leadership, you will find her recharging through thought-provoking conversations, morning runs, or diving into a good book, all fueling her vision for creating environments where meaningful connections flourish. Lucas is an incoming third-year student at the NUS Long Lin School of Medicine, majoring in medicine with a minor in biomedical informatics. As part of the pioneer batch of residents at Helix House in 2024, Lucas has played an active role in shaping a vibrant and inclusive community, including leading efforts to form the inaugural blog committee. Passionate about photography, Lucas co-founded the Helix House Photography Interest Group in 2023. He first served as vice president and now leads the club as president, organizing regular teaching sessions, photo walks, and critique sessions to foster a supportive and creative environment for fellow photography enthusiasts. Committed to the club's continued growth, Lucas also serves on the executive committee, helping to develop and mentor the next generation of leaders for the Helix House Photography Interest Group. To start off, I would like to invite Anand to share about halls of residences at NUS. Anand, please.
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Anand. I'm an incoming year 4 student in real estate. I am a student representative of the halls of NUS today. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm a resident of Cambridge Hall, so I'll be sharing a bit more about my experience specific to my hall. So let me get the preamble out of the way. The halls of NUS system has been established for over 100 years. So there are 6 halls in NUS. There is Raffles Hall, King Edward VII Hall. These two are usually seen as the more cultural or production-savvy halls. Then there is Yusuf Hall and Temasek Hall. They are usually seen as the more sporty halls. Then there's also Shears Hall and my hall, Cambridge Hall, which I like to say are the experiential learning halls. So this isn't to say that each hall is stuck with its own specialization, RH routinely does well at like sports events in IHG. Temasek and Yusuf also have consistently outstanding performances at their own dance productions. And the Crashes Rag every year has outstanding performances and always wins a lot of awards. So while each hall likes to specialize in a category of student activity, every hall still wants to attract well-rounded individuals, someone who can contribute to all aspects of the hall environment. So I think at this juncture, it is important to make a distinction here that a hall will want to admit you as a student, but you will also need to be an outgoing individual. You'll need to be curious and not judgmental, and you'll need to have the drive to challenge yourself at all points in time. So as we mentioned earlier, each of the 6 halls offer multitude of CCAs. I personally think it's impossible to have heard of a hall without hearing about CCAs or contributing to the hall or contributing to hall culture, inter-hall games, culture productions, lots of things. But I think if you're sitting right now in this webinar, you probably have an idea of where you want to go or where you want to be in a sense. Every hostel has CCAs, right? Or at least some form of interest groups. And for me, I'm in 2 campus CCAs, right? NUS Varsity Ultimate and NUS Aquathlon. And so there's the question. So many things to do outside of NUS. What makes hall any more special? right? So why would I want to accomplish so much in Hall if there's such a big world out there in the wider NUS? Now, if you're in this webinar, I want you to try and think about who you are as a person, because I think that is a heavy question and it will definitely guide you in your decision of where you want to stay. For me, going into my 4th year, I've spent 3 years in Cambridge Hall. And to date, I've clocked about 17 CCAs across 6 semesters. Yeah, it's not like how it is in poly or in JC, where you have to equally commit very heavily. But while in the hall, you can try out different things. So for me, I've played ultimate frisbee, track, road relay, swimming, floorball, touch rugby. I've been in choir, I've been in a rock band, I've done a songwriting group, I've been in the sports management unit, dance production committee, we've done writing, we've done all different sorts of things. And even I got the opportunity to help out with the inter-hall games through the convening team. You get to do so much in the hall. And this year, I even did the JCRC, which is the pinnacle of leadership in the hall. And it sounds like a lot, right? Yeah, it sounds like a lot. And I'll be real, it is quite a lot. It is not something that is for the faint of heart, I would say. Now, I spent countless hours doing work that doesn't really contribute to my degree, if you think about it. So if it doesn't matter, then why do I do it? On the one hand, it's about who I am as a person. I am the president of my hall. And that was my goal since day one of entering the hall, that I would make it to this point. Because when I entered, I heard stories about the hall from my father, who was in Cambridge many years ago, to my sister, who was in Cambridge more recently. And when I hear all these stories, I think about how exciting student life is, how tightly knit the community is. And there's a sense of pride in being in such an intense legacy. You know, it's the halls of NUS. No other university in Singapore has a hall culture that's quite like ours. Being part of such a beautiful and vibrant community, it's something that personally I've always wanted. Now, I can say that over the last 3 years, especially over the last year, the hall life has changed me a lot. I am a very different person from who I was when I first entered the hall. I've grown a lot, and I would say that I've changed quite a lot as well, for the better in some sense. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this, I would say. To flourish in the hall system, in any hall, for example, you need to be someone who is motivated to keep doing their best throughout all points in life. You need to be curious enough to seek out new things and to keep trying, because you will have so many opportunities when you're in the hall. And life, I mean, you're coming into uni, you gotta know, life isn't straightforward. There's always going to be problems. But one thing is definitely for certain. After these 4 years, when you look back, these will be some of the most formative and the best times of your lives. If you're someone who someone who wants to make the most out of it, I feel that coming to a hall would give you the avenue for you to do everything you want to try, and even more. You'll make friends that will support you through your journey. And in turn, you'll also support them, because they're always just a door away. And I think one thing that's important about halls is that you always have each other's backs, no matter what hall you're on. And on top of all of that, staying on campus and staying closer to your faculty means you get way more sleep and you save on travel time and money. So it's a massive W. But that's mostly it. That's why staying in hall is such an interesting, such a brilliant opportunity, I would say. I'm going to pass the time over to Winnie, who will tell you guys a little bit more about residential colleges.
Thanks, Anand. Give me a moment as I share my screen. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Winnie, just like Winnie the Pooh, and I'm an incoming Year 3 business student living and learning in Residential College 4. Around 2 years ago today, I had the same questions as most of you here. What's a residential college? How do I choose between the various housing options and among the RCs available? I'm happy to say that I've answered the question, lived through my decision, and loved this choice so much that I decided to become the president of RC4 when I was in Year 2. To give you an introduction to residential colleges, We differ from other housing options because we also get to study courses specific to our team, known as the University Town College Program or the Ridgeview Residential College Program if you are in our VRC. Now, a lot of people always question, does that mean I have to take up extra courses compared to my people in my major? The answer is no. In fact, beyond taking the same number of courses, because it's replacing your general education courses, you'll also be more likely to get the courses that you bid for and are interested in. For RC4, we have a systems thinking core, which sounds chim, but all it means is that we understand that the world is interconnected and recognize that to fix one issue, you have to consider various other factors that can affect our costs in disproportionate ways. I loved the systems thinking themed courses so much that I continued to take more courses beyond what was required. I even went on a 2-week overseas trip to Thailand where I learned about food systems resilience. And beyond courses that are unique to your college, we also have a vibrant interest group scene. Now, this is unlike hall CCAs because interest groups actually have low commitment and are open to beginners. Specifically in RC4, we actually have the greatest number of interest groups, ranging from badminton to sewing to even making juice together. And during my time in RC4, I actively participated in my house events and attended interest groups like badminton, floorball, cafe, and arts whenever I had the time to. This helped me to forge very strong friendships, and I'm very glad to say that I found friends for a lifetime here. Additionally, I'm also a fan of our overseas trips. So last year, I also headed to India with RC4 for a learning journey. My favorite part of RC4 is the low barrier to entry culture, where you have 100% access to any interest groups and mentors. The culture here also allows you to be experimental while encouraging you to be driven. And one of my fondest memories is when I got to play basketball for the college, even when I had only learned it for a total of 5 hours before the match. Needless to say, we lost. But RC4 still turned out to have the most number of awards for this year's Inter-College Games. And with all this said, if you have any more questions about RCs, halls, and houses, you can ask us during the Q&A session. And for now, I'll pass the time on to Lucas.
Okay, thank you, Winnie. Let me take the time to share my screen. Okay. Great. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucas. I'm an incoming year 3 medical student. It's my pleasure to share my personal experience staying in one of the houses at NUS. I stay at Helix House. I'm going to be sharing more about Helix House, but please ask us any questions if you have any about houses. I'll be happy to answer any of them. Okay. So at Helix House, we call ourselves Helixians. My time on campus has been filled with incredible experiences, meaningful connections, and countless opportunities to grow both as a leader and a resident. So I'd like to share some of these fondest memories that have shaped my 2 years in Helix. When I first moved into Helix House in 2023, I was the very first batch of residents. So being a pioneer came with its own set of challenges. You know, there was no culture, okay, there was no traditions, and everything felt like a blank slate. Some might have feel it like it's very boring or lifeless, but to me, it was a very unique opportunity because you can help to shape the community for yourselves and for future batches. So one of my fondest memories was helping to kickstart our very first block event. At that time, you know, everyone was shy, awkward, and hesitant to join activities. We wanted to create an event, okay, for everyone to get to know each other beyond the highs and byes. Together with my former residential assistant, we planned and executed a block event for the Mid-Autumn Festival. We set up games, food tasting, and a photo booth. I'm very happy to say that this event became the catalyst for the creation of the very first block committee at Helix House. Since then, the committee has organized engaging events such as Exam Week, McDonald's Breakfast Welfare, our own Squid Games, and interblock competitions. Another highlight of my stay was starting the Helix Photography Interest Group. Photography has been my passion since young. I wanted to create a space where others could explore and share this interest. What began, you know, as a small group quickly grew into a vibrant community, you know, with regular teaching sessions, photo walks exploring different parts of Singapore, and even creating our own zine book. The best of it, all of these are kindly supported by the Helix Residential Office team, who gave us tremendous support and autonomy in running our own interest group. Recently, with the growing trend of film photographies, many members wanted to learn more about film. I reached out to the office to request for film cameras and film stock for our members, and they gladly supported us. I'm truly grateful for the warmth and encouragement the residential team has shown us. Throughout my stay, I made it a point to try to be actively involved, in all aspects of campus life. I'm sure other houses have their own unique activities, but at Helix House, we have signature events where the residential fellows themselves will plan and organize meaningful events such as a guided tour with the Harmony in Diversity Gallery. Many of you will not know what that is. It was my first time knowing that place as well. There's also block and floor events. From suppers to our own Squid Game, these events help me to make some of the best friends I have right now in uni. Besides photography, I also joined several interest groups, such as volleyball and badminton, and bonded through these activities with my friends. Now, often, it is the unexpected late night moments that are the most precious. I fondly recall my friends knocking at my door at random hours for supper or for casual chats in the lounge. These spontaneous moments are the memories I will always cherish. Looking back, I'm very grateful to be part of the pioneering batch of Helixians, to help shape our community and to be part of something bigger than myself. As a medical student, my schedule is often busier than that of an average uni student. Because of this, maybe like some of you in front listening to this webinar, I was very hesitant to take on too many commitments, and it was something that I was considering when I was applying. To me, living in a house offers the best of both worlds. You're not pressured to join countless CCAs or be everywhere at once, but you're still surrounded by an active community where you can participate in events and make lifelong friends. At the end of it, I believe, no matter where you choose to stay on campus, your experience is what you make out of it. It's your initiative and openness that will help shape your journey and create lasting memories. I thoroughly enjoyed my stay at Helix House and have no regrets joining the house model. So if you are thinking of the house model, I'll kindly request you to join Helix House. Thank you, and I would like to we can take any questions from the webinar attendees. Thank you.
Thank you, students, for sharing. I hope they have managed to pique your interest about the different types of accommodations available and the student life activities that you can look forward to at NUS. Now we've reached the Q&A segment, and I will hand the time over to Prof. Goh, who will be moderating the Q&A session. Prof. Goh, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Eunice, and a big thank you to Anand, Winnie, and Lucas. You have passionately shared about all the wonderful things you can do in halls, residential colleges, and houses. Now, I think this is going to be very challenging for our participants here to decide, which one should they actually apply to. Now, this is going to seems like a difficult decision. And I think a difficult question would be that actually among the three, which is better? Which is the best? Our three students representatives, Anna, Winnie, and Lucas, I was so, intrigued by how passionate you are about the various on-campus accommodation. And this is going to be a difficult situation that which is better. Now, I think it's going to be difficult for me to ask the three of you to say which is better. So I decide to actually ask that difficult question to the Dean of Students instead. So I will let Prof. Ho answer that difficult question. I'm sure Prof. Ho, you will say that, every on-campus accommodation is good. It's like every school is a good school. Every on-campus accommodation is a good accommodation. I don't deny that. But I think our participants here in tonight's webinar, they would like to find out what are the unique features or advantages of this. Now, of course, everyone has advantages. Now, which is better? I will not do this ranking exercise, but I think it'll be very helpful for Prof. Ho to put in perspective about what are the unique features and advantages of each type of on-campus accommodation. Over to you, Prof. Ho.
Thanks, Prof. Go for arrowing me to answer this very first question. I think you did give the answer, which is just like every school is a good school, every hostel is a good hostel to be in. But think what is important for everyone to recognize is that the right hostel for you will be the one that you can thrive in.
Mm.
And what makes it possible for you to thrive in that environment is if you pick the environment that you are comfortable in. And this is exactly the reason why we have decided not to create hostel in a cookie cutter style. As you know, cookies cutter means everything is going to look exactly the same. Everything will have the same dimension and the same set of activity. From the point of equity, seems to make sense. But in terms of housing, where personal preference has to be part of that whole selection criteria, then it is important for us to create diversity. And which is why the four housing concept that we have mentioned just now, each has their distinguishing feature. And if I can just quickly recap again, in the case of the halls of residence, it's very vibrant CCAs. In the case of residential colleges, it's the unique academic program that provide opportunity for additional intellectual inquiry. And intellectual inquiry not to add on to your academic load, but actually it is providing a complementary way for you to learn something different apart from what you learn from your own majors. Then in the case of house is flexibility when it comes to meals. You can choose to eat anywhere you want and making use of the flexibility to create opportunity for ground up activities. And finally, the student residences is where you have an opportunity to have a more diverse environment to also interact with more mature students like the graduate students, and also have pastoral care that comes as part of the housing arrangement. So therefore, I present four options to you, but I should also mention there is a fifth option, which is NUS College. Why are we not counting NUS College as one of the four options is because it is something that you have to choose as part of your admission process. And the academic program that comes with NUS College is also not comparable with the other residential colleges because it actually constitutes about 1/3 of your total curricular time that you spend in the university. So with this, the five options are something that you should test your own interest against. And coming back to my original point, the best one for you will be the one that you can thrive in it.
Thank you, Prof. Ho. I couldn't agree more actually with your answer, and especially about the diversity that NUS is looking for. You know, we're looking for a diverse community of learners, a diverse community, so we provide diverse options as well. We certainly don't believe in one size fits all. That's why we have all these different options of on-campus accommodation for our students. Now, I'm going to go back to Anand, Winnie, and Lucas. Now, I think you have spoken very passionately about halls, residential colleges, and houses. But in fact, even within the category of halls, within the category of residential colleges, within that category of houses, we have different ones, and each one of them, again, we build a character, we build a culture within each of these residential colleges, each of these houses, each of these halls as well. And I think you have spoken into to certain amount of details about the one that you have stayed in. Now, I'm not going to ask you to say that, oh, whether yours is better or the other halls or RCs are better, but it will be helpful that for those students who are thinking about halls, residential colleges and houses, if you can actually share about what you know about the others so that they can make a choice. And like what Prof. Ho said, which I fully agree, you know, we have all this variety, all these choices is for you to find the best fit. So for our prospective students here to find the best fit so that they can actually thrive. So maybe I'll get Anand to talk about the different halls first. I know you mentioned a little bit. Maybe you can share a little bit more based on your interactions with students who have stayed in the other halls as well.
Okay, yeah. So how do I put it? Okay, so when it comes to all different halls, right? We enter with this mentality that oh, when I'm going into, let's say, Cambridge Hall, for example, if I'm going to Cambridge Hall, I'm going to be expected to do an all-rounder type thing. I need to be good at my sports, need to be good in cultures, need to be good in like my own leadership or terms of planning, because we're a very committee-heavy hall. And if I go to Raffles Hall, maybe I can lax a little bit more. I don't need to be too good at sports. I don't need to be too good at my committees. Or maybe, let's say, I want to go to Temasek or EH. I want to go to Temasek or EH because I'm an athlete. I don't want to do dancing. I don't want to do singing. So we have these preconceived notions of what all the different hall cultures are going to be like. And that may influence somebody to say, hey, I don't want to go to Cambridge Hall. I want to go to a hall where I can be allowed to focus on my sport, for example. Maybe I'm a national athlete. And maybe Valor House doesn't really appeal to me too much, but I want to be into EH and TH, for example. But like I mentioned earlier, I think slowly we're starting to see that a lot of halls are taking the best that, how do I put it? We're learning lessons from each other. So we're learning lessons across the different halls, and we are all coming together in a sense that, we're not trying to stay caught up within our own specialization. What I mean is, I've noticed that EH, for example, will invite KR students to come over and do dance to just learn one another, or they will have combined dance lessons so that we are all learning and we're all progressing together, not just as individual halls, but as one wholeness. So on the one hand, I can say that if you throw a stone and you end up in any hostel, it will be a good hostel for you because we are all leaning towards this one area. But I will say that, to put it in a more direct manner, I would say, right? If you want to go to a hall where it is day in, day out, you're going to meet your friends, they're always going to be the liveliest, most talkative kind of people in the room, you'll be looking at Kenrich and Shears. Outgoing, entrepreneurship type spirit, very outspoken and very driven people. You know what I mean? Driven people, disciplined and very motivated, you're going to be going to EH and TH, where they are sportsmen, right? So they bring that culture of excellence into their cultures as well, not just in sports, right? Their dance sport. Yusof Dance is getting more and more talented. TH always likes to have their own dance production where people who don't have dance experience can try something new, right? So that culture of drive and motivation is exemplified there. If you want to go to a hall where mastery is your mentality, you want to make sure that you are an expert in your field, I think you will go to RH or KE. So these are places where you will have your talent pool, but we specialize further and further. We develop ourselves even more. So that's what I see in the other halls. So if you're the kind of person that wants to try everything, come down to KL, or try everything and always have fun doing it, come down to KL or Shears, right? If you want to be somebody who specializes and grows in their own talent field, you can go down to KE or RH. And if you're somebody who is driven and motivated as an individual and you want to meet like-minded people, then you go down to EH or TH. Yeah. So each hall has a sister hall in a sense. And individually, these hall cultures might be a little bit different. One hall might be a bit more lively, for example, or one hall might be a bit more tightly knit. That's how it may work. But in a sense, if you can identify what your own field of specialization might want to be like, or how you want to direct your energy while you're in university, you can pick from that group of KR Shears, KE7RH, EHTH. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Anand. I think you have given a very detailed description. I think that is definitely very helpful. And then, how about RCs then? Winnie, you have stayed in RCs, and so RC4, and of course there are other RCs as well. So and also, there's one more thing that I think some students who are contemplating RCs or who have applied to RC. Now, in terms of the courses that you're going to take, that can be counted towards the general education requirement. Now, how is the RC's version of these courses different from what you would have taken, as let's say a student who is not saying the RCs? I think that would be useful too. So maybe I'll let Winnie talk about this.
Okay, thank you. Anand, you spoke so well. Now I need to. So match out the same level. Yeah. Okay, so I think there are two parts to this. So I'm hearing two parts to the question. The first one will be about the cultures across the different RCs, and the second part is about how our courses differ when you are an RC resident versus when you're not. Okay, so let me answer the first part of the question. When it comes to the various colleges, we have two main things influencing our culture. Firstly, the curriculum that we have, because we have academic courses that are specific to us. And secondly, the interest groups, as well as the culture that is built up by the student life here. Okay, so when it comes to CAPT, in terms of academics, it's actually known for community engagement. RC4 is known for systems thinking, which I mentioned earlier. RVRC is known for sustainability, and Tembusu is known for multidisciplinary curriculum with a global focus. I also understand from my friends that Tembusu is also a lot more of courses that are related to challenging intellectual questions, because I was once also at the crossroads when it came to choosing the various residential colleges. And when I investigated the courses that were offered in Tembusu, I found that a lot of them would question more of like, oh, whether like laws and ethics were good, yeah, and things like that. And then like as for RC4, when it comes to systems thinking, I mentioned earlier that it's going to be a lot more about exploring various things, but knowing that there are other interconnected variables that we have to be concerned about. Then as for CAPT, because CAPT and RC4 actually shares a dining hall together, so I get to interact with my CAPT friends quite often, and they are really, really heavily centered on community engagement. So they volunteer quite frequently, and they really have a very wholesome culture. Then as for RBRC, which is a bit far from us physically, from UTown, they have very strong focus on sustainability, as I shared earlier, and they also have interest groups that really are centered on ensuring that they can build up the world. So I'm actually one of their interest groups chats, because one of my seniors invited me in, and one day I actually spotted a bird that like was on the ground and couldn't fly, right? So I immediately sent it into that group chat, and within 1 minute, somebody responded to tell me what bird that is and what I could do to save that bird. Yeah, so they really care about environment and so on. So that's just an approximate culture based on their academic courses. But when it comes to their social styles, I would say CAP is actually quite known for their sports. So when we play inter-college games, right, like their sports CCAs, interest groups do very well consistently. And in RC4, there are a lot of people who actually engage in esports. Yeah, so that's more like, yeah, these two RCs are the ones that I know of more. Now, let me move on to the second part of the question, which is how courses would differ. General education courses would differ when you are in RC versus when you're not in RC. I think the main distinction would definitely be the fact that you are centered. That means 4 of your general education courses are centered on one theme, and that means you can keep furthering your knowledge within them. So for systems thinking in RC4, we actually have to pick up a tool called basically like systems Venn diagram. So like you have to draw out the diagrams and so on and connect the various variables. So this is actually a postgraduate tool, and learning this is actually quite unique. When I speak to people who are in public policy, they are actually always quite surprised that people at undergraduate level are able to employ these tools. And yeah, so that's about our systems thinking course. And how I've been able to further in RC is I've actually been able to learn about food systems resilience by going overseas to Thailand and question and ask and interview the stakeholders over there about how food systems are over there and why it's not doing as well. For example, why they struggle with food insecurity. And I'm also able to touch on leadership and how somebody can become a great leader by considering various factors. Yeah, so being able to zone in on one academic team helps you to become an expert. And also, and I think that would differ because my friends who are taking GE courses, they actually touch on various topics, and they don't get to further a specific academic skill. Yeah. So I think that's the main distinction.
Thank you, Winnie. And I think, I think Lucas, I think I saw some questions in the chat. They already asked about the difference in culture of the different houses, you know. So you want to comment on that, Lucas?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Yeah, you spoke well too, so I guess that makes my job harder as well. Okay, so I'll try my best, to explain the different models that I'm familiar with. But maybe let's start with the newest kid on the block. That's Villa House. From what I know, it's a sports focus hostel that is running the house model. I'm not very familiar with it, but this is what I know. So comparing the three houses that are in this area called Prince George's Park, PGP, we always call it PGP. So that area, we have three houses over there. We have Lighthouse, Pioneer House, and Helix House. So from what I know, Lighthouse has a focus on individuality. Pioneer has a bit of a focus on frugality, and Helix House has focuses on happiness, authenticity, and everything. But I like to sum up Helix House because it's my house. I would use its motto, DNA that binds. It's heavily emphasized on wellness and well-being. Okay, but maybe talking about Pioneer House. Pioneer House is the oldest house in NUS. It adapts a system that I feel that is closer to a hall because you have to rack up some points, if I'm not wrong, to stay. Okay, whereas in Helix House, the senior retention criteria, they call it, is to hit like a sort of like a checklist. So participation is more important than clocking hours. Okay, and for Lighthouse, in order to stay the next year, you would have to fulfill the two character references, which is done at the end of the year when you reapply. Yeah, and the best of all, maybe it's a good and bad thing, I don't know, but all of the houses have no academic requirements, which means you do not have to take additional MCs, which is, of course, for me, it's a blessing because I do not need to take them. The next thing is that all of the houses do not have a meal plan. As I mentioned, all three houses are situated in the area called PGP, Prince George's Park. There is a canteen there. That's where most of us go for our dinner. But when we are more free and exam stress is over, we usually can take a bus down to Supper Stretch, which I'm very sure the halls people are very commonly visiting there as well. We can also walk over to NUS MRT, NUS Kent around there. There's also quite a lot of food, yeah. So I hope that addresses as much as possible what I know. Yeah, but do not think that, houses is, just stand alone like that. My imagination of what a house is kind of limited because when I joined, Helix was not present. So when I joined, it was blank. So I didn't know what to make out of it. But if anybody were to ask me right now, the house model is it's not just like what people would think it's lifeless and it's boring. No, because I participate in a lot of events, and in fact, I used to play volleyball against Pioneer House because they join us. So don't think that the houses just stand as houses. We do have collaborations among the different houses as well. Okay. If there's any further questions, I will be happy to take them. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucas. I think the sharing by Anna, Winnie, and Lucas actually shows that the different halls, RCs, or houses, they are all interconnected in the sense that, the residences, they come together for other activities. Now, in terms of activities, there are a lot of activities going on. And I think there's something that many of you were wondering. How do I balance academic studies and student/stroke residential life? And I think I saw Anand's expression. I think he has really worked very hard trying to balance everything. Now, and so this is something that I believe many students have this in mind. Now, there is no doubt that through student and residential life, there is additional learning opportunities, additional development opportunities. But how do you balance your academic studies with this? So I think I'll invite Prof. Wong to share a little bit more about how a student could actually strike a balance between, academic studies and student/stroke residential life. Over to you, Prof. Wong.
Right, thank you, Prof. Goh. So as we heard from Lucas, as well as Anand, as well as Winnie, we realized that their lives are all very packed on campus, right? So how then do you manage all these different things? The reality is that I think the academic programs will be quite demanding. It'll be very, very rigorous because the depth of the content is there. The breadth of the content is also there. However, I think what's important is really to balance it, to find something that really you are interested in. And if you're interested in an activity that's outside the curriculum, I think that motivation becomes very organic. And because it's so organic, the motivation to want to do it, despite however busy you are, will remain there. And sometimes, engaging in an activity that you're really interested in can also help sort of ease your stresses a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, so that's one. So finding an activity that you really like. The second thing is time management. And really, at the end of the day, part and parcel of the time management process is being disciplined, right? And I think as we enter into university, well, when I was a undergrad many years ago, one of the first challenges I had to contend with was this increased freedom, right? Because in mainstream schools, you find that in JC and all that, you have a timetable to follow. But within university, that timetable is a little bit more flexible, more fluid, depending on your course of study and your programs, right? So a lot of it will depend on how then do you manage the pockets of time that you have. And these pockets of time may not be really in the classroom, but these are in a way free time, right, that you have. But how do you make the best use of that free time? I think is important. And it's also the ability to prioritize, right, your different tasks. So you might be going through a season where there's a lot of assignments, where the exams are coming up. And so that's a period, maybe you take a little bit of, you go on the low with regard to the co-curricular activities, out classroom activities. But once the exams are over, then you come back on again, right, and engage in those activities which you truly enjoy. So I suppose as a short answer to that is really, number one, being able to manage your time well, being able to prioritize what is important, and thirdly, to find something that will really motivate you and would really pique your interest and your curiosity. I guess that's one way in which you can balance the academic as well as the non-academic aspects of your time on campus. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. I think this is really very sound advice to our incoming students. And I saw our 3 student representatives, Anand, Winnie, and Lucas, all nodding. So I believe that they also agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, in the interest of time, I think I just want to invite Prof. Ho to say one last thing. That is, so far we have talked about all the CCAs that if you happen to stay in the halls. But among the audience, there are students here who are actually not intending to stay on campus. Maybe they stay near NUS that they would like to actually stay off campus. So are there other activities that is actually in terms of CCA that students can use to enrich their life where they are not part of the halls or residential colleges or houses? So I'll let Prof. Ho talk a little bit more about this. Yeah. Over to you, Prof. Ho.
Okay, absolutely. I think that there are many opportunities that go beyond what the hostels can offer. And in fact, I will equally encourage everyone to consider all the options that are available to you. And I think in one of my earlier slides, I mentioned that we have more than 200 CCA groups on campus. And in fact, that number is growing. It is growing because students with interest in an area that is not currently represented on campus can so decide to just come together and form a new interest group. And as long as they can find a suitable advisor to help them go through the entire approval process, then it is possible for them to run this as an official interest group. So therefore, student agency is what drives many of the activities that are available on campus, and students are definitely encouraged to be part of all of those opportunity. And not to forget mentioning that even within your respective faculties, there are also academic and non-academic clubs and societies that you can also be part of. In fact, that offer a different type of synergy for you. In the first place, you have chosen your courses based on your interests, and you will find that in those environments is where like-minded people can come together and to chart new territories and different student-led innovation and opportunities. And when like-minded people come together, I can tell you that the intrinsic motivation can truly drive a lot of spectacular activities from those efforts. So not to forget, all those are opportunities as well. So in short, there are many things available for you to choose from. And I always like to relate these opportunities to like someone going to a buffet table. And in that buffet line, there are so many things that you can pick. So therefore, my advice is don't stop at the first dish and fill your plate only with everything that comes from the first dish. While you may enjoy what you're doing, at the end of the day, you will not be able to experience the wide range of opportunities that's made available to you. And when you take the chance to experiment and try different things that the university has to offer for student activities, then you will truly have a balanced education, holistic experience, and a unique profile that you can establish for yourself that is different from everyone else.
Thank you, Prof, for summarizing so well. There is indeed a wide buffet of choices in terms of student life, residential life, for awaiting all of you. So we warmly welcome you to join NUS and have a feast of the wide range of learning opportunities that await you. Thanks again for attending, and I'll pass the time back to Eunice to close the webinar. Over to you, Eunice.
Thank you. Thank you, professors and students, for sharing your experience, insights, and sound advice. I hope they've managed to answer all your queries and clarify your doubts. So with that, we'll come to the end of this webinar, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope that this session has been helpful for you. Now, if you have any further questions, please send them via our admissions portal. You can also visit the NUS One portal and the Office of Student Affairs website for more information pertaining to holistic education, residential, and student life matters at NUS. Now, we will append these relevant links in the chatbot for your reference shortly. We also greatly appreciate if you could please take a few minutes to fill up a feedback form. You may scan a QR code or access the link that we have shared on the chatbot. Your feedback is important to us, so please let us know how we can improve. Thank you once again. My colleagues and I look forward to warmly welcoming you to NUS. Have a great evening ahead.